It's he said, she said, you said time. That's right. This is where we go over your comments, my favorite comments from you each week. If you want to have your comments featured on the podcast in this segment every week, anytime you see one of our posts anywhere on Facebook, comment and we could use it. We like to use our best comments, so saying, yeah, or cool, it was great, probably not going to get picked. But we still appreciate those comments nonetheless. That said, let's get started with first show of the week, NWA Power. Elmer F. from the Coca-Cola Pro Wrestling Group is back again this week to give their thoughts on Power by stating, NWA Power's ending was definitely a surprise. I'm glad that Beat Down didn't go on forever and get ridiculous. I have to say, I'm impressed with Genocide's showing in her match against Camille. She surely seems to have her act together to go far. If the new team of Storm and Sauronaro do go the comedy route, I'm hoping they save it for a good pop about the middle or end of their matches. As for Austin Idol's client, his win was not a popular one in the least, but it makes sense that a wrestler his size could pull it off. If Melina does swerve Rosa and join Strictly Business, it would make for some great booking. Do I think it's likely? With Melina, it's very possible. My overall view of episode 25 is that it really delivered the goods. Thank you for that great comment, Elmer F. We love the detail you give and give us an answer to almost every question we ask every week. We love it. Now our Sound Off regular Jamie T had this to say about the show in our Inner Circle group. The Pulp Exchange on this show was one of the best promo interview slots I've seen in a long time. Great episode altogether though. The best episode of NWA Power since it returned. I'm not going to disagree. It was a great episode. They had a lot go on. I hated the finish though. I will say it again. I hated the finish. Alright. So with that said, we're going to move on to, well, what else would we move on to after NWA Power was NXT. So your comments on NXT, we had Matthew S. in the Wednesday Night Wrestling group give his answers to our questions this week by saying MSK is doing great, or is great doing whatever. They are actually my favorite tag team at the moment. Grimes is finally getting the spotlight he absolutely should have been getting. He is good in the ring and his comedy stuff is pure gold. I don't like the new Kyle. Something just seems off. Yep. We all know, we've all seen the memes of the Wish.com Orange Cassidy. Now we move on to Anthony T in the Everything Pro Wrestling group, giving his thoughts on the Sarai vs. Starks match, Zoe Starks, stating, I thought the Sarai match was too back and forth. My thought is, if you're high on Zoe Starks, that's fine, but you have Sarai go up against somebody else where it's maybe not a squash match, but one more size than it was. More one-sized, I think it meant one-sided, than it was. That's what I was thinking about that match. It was really weird. I don't know. Like, Zoe Starks, I get it, they're high on her. They are. But you should not be putting this this new Japanese wrestler when we've had all these Japanese wrestlers like Asuka, Kairi Sane, Io Shirai coming in strong out of the gate with WWE. And then you have Sarai come in her first match in NXT, and it's a back and forth with Zoe Starks, who still looks like a generic jobber even though she's getting pushed. Like, I just don't get it. But that's me. Now, Darren A., we're going to have a third comment because we did get some really good comments. So again, we will move on to more comments if we get some really good ones that we just can't not include. And that included Darren A's in the NXT UK, NXT 205 Live Worlds Collide group, giving his thoughts on the new NXT theme as well as Kushida's new look by saying, I figured that NXT would be getting a new theme song ever since I saw the logo look different last week. Poppy and NXT do make a good collaboration. I disagree. Plus, even though I didn't see it brought up, I don't think I'm ready yet to see Kushida compete as a barefooter. I'm often used to seeing him in a denim vest and anything that's Back to the Future related, even with shoes or boots on his feet. I agree. It's just obvious that they're getting away from the Back to the Future stuff. I don't know if that's NBC Universal owns Back to the Future. So the fact that NXT on USA, part of NBC Universal, can't. Like, you'd think, right? So those were great comments about NXT this week. A lot of people had a lot to say about it. We're going to move on now to AEW Dynamite. Helps if I actually bring up the graphics for AEW Dynamite. There we go. So, Adam B. on our main post gave his thoughts on the show by stating, I was really hoping Ricky got the win. He's a star and seems to be stuck on the YouTube shows. They really need to disband Team Taz, especially if they're just going to lose all the time. I have no issue with Alex getting more time because Penta needs a mouthpiece. Hopefully Britt takes the belt off of Sheeta. She's had it for an eternity, and Britt is really the face of the division. Liked seeing the Wardlow get some mic time. Jericho's promo was clearly unscripted and was all over the place. Kinda wish it was a few minutes shorter just to have more time for Darby versus Jungle Boy. Another excellent main event. Love seeing the more aggressive, heelish side of Darby. Thought the show was a bit of a step down from last week. Good, but not great other than the final match. Fair assessment. So Christopher T in the AEW Dynamite group let us know that the show wasn't as good for everyone as we thought by saying, rivalry between the Nightmare Family and Factory is a nuisance. Can't leave Big Swole out of the championship picture yet. Swole. All matches were satisfactory. Well, everyone has different tastes, right? That's why we like to feature all the different comments. So even if you don't agree with us and what we're saying in our posts and in the sound off, feel free to disagree with us, and we might even include it. We want to show all viewpoints. And that was a great example. Christopher T, great. I don't agree with you. Like Big Swole? Come on. Who wants Big Swole in the championship picture? That's it. Alright. So, we didn't get anything for NXT UK this week. Not a lot of people talking about NXT UK. It was a great show. Like, it was a really great show. So, that said, we'll just skip over and head on over to Impact Wrestling. So, Mitch R. in the Wednesday Night Wrestling group posed a great question regarding the X Division match at Rebellion, asking, why is Chris Bay not on the card, and why is the X Division title match not an Ultimate X match? As regulars of the Sound Off know, I've been asking that for a couple weeks now. I've been saying I thought it was going to become one. It seemed like it with the people that they were involving. So, obviously, maybe not, because the Triple Threat just so they could do the PD promo. That said, I think it's actually because of the studio. I don't know if Ultimate X is suitable for the Ultimate X match, but only Impact knows, right? Andre T in the Minutes to Bell Time group gave his thoughts on Impact this week by saying, remember when Cher was a dancing, fun-loving babyface? Impact might not have a huge name stars, but they have a lot of good talent. Some stories can be like, oh really? Is it me, or does Trey Miguel and Ricochet look like they're related? The one thing that never disappoints is the X Division. X Division's always one of the highlights. It's the best wrestling, right? The X Division in Impact is like now the opening match in Dynamite. Like, I'm almost ready to call that if they don't have a good match on the opener of Dynamite, it's a disappointment, right? Or if an X Division match on Impact isn't good, it's disappointing. Alright, those were my favorite comments from you this week.